All right, if you've been hanging out here with me, you're going to think, well, we kind of already did this, and we did a little bit of this, but I want to go into even more depth. You're like, how can you go into even more depth on customizing a title? But yes, you can. So, customize the title and the content block. Again, we're talking about extending a base template, which is what we did in or is what we're doing right now, and how they interact with one another. And there's some cool factors in this. So I want to go back to what we have here. It says, hello, my project. The reason it says that is because now we created this about.html, and I've been kind of messing with index.html, and that's because we haven't wired up about.html, so we can't actually see about.html on the page. It says hello and then pipe with my project name, because the super brings in the my project, and then the hello pipe is from the index.html, the template that we're using. The base.html shows you, gets that, the app name. Let's actually change this. Let's change this, and this is getting this from our configuration file, which is brought in by our .env and then piped over through our config, which we've talked about in prior videos. But all I have to do is change this from my project to, let's do Flask Commands. So if I wanted Flask Commands like that, I could save it. And you're going to be like, well, it didn't change, Drew. That's okay. You just need to restart your server there. So rerun Flask run minus debug, and then refresh the page, and there it goes. It changed to Flask Commands. So it's reading this variable, whatever you put in here, it's capitalized. Each word is capitalized because in base.html, we have used this pipe title. Now, this isn't a vertical line. This isn't this vertical line. This is, at first when I saw this, I always thought, oh, this is just Python. No, this is Jinja, right? Like, we wouldn't write pipe title in Python. But if I remove that, then I get back what's actually in my .env file. So that's creating that capital scenario, and then the super is bringing that in. If I remove super, then that Flask Commands is going to go away. So that super brings it in. And then if I wanted to say something like about, and have about and then pipe Flask Commands, it would be like that. So they give some examples. I give some examples in here. There's the about. That's what we just did, and that's exactly what we got. If I wanted to just completely override this and put about our company, just remove the super, and about our company will appear right there, right? So, but like, what's even cool about this is maybe your brain thinks differently, which is completely fine, because I know my brain thinks differently. You can switch the order of these blocks around. It does not matter. It's going to go to base.html, and it's going to put in the things. It's going to read your index.html and then inject these things in base.html where they live in the base.html. So you can actually, this is kind of cool. You can open up these here, and then you can go to the, let's see, where do I want to go? Oh, source. There's a place where I can actually see the HTML. There it is. Okay, I thought it was source. Okay, so notice here that, and let's see, we don't need this. I want that back. Okay, view source. All right, so I really just want this part of this window. I really want this part right here. Okay. Let's see if I can make it so that you guys can see just that. And then I want to kind of mess around with things in that part. Okay. So one thing that like confused me beyond no end was what in the world, like I knew that this symbol right here, the percent and the set, the squiggly bracket with the percent, that was essentially doing something, defining a block, iterating over a list or something like that. So you can put like 4, and I knew that things like, here, let's bring this back to what we had before. I knew that the super, like this was evaluating, right? But I kept wondering, what in the heck, why do we have these minus signs? And so what that does is it removes a blank space. So if I get rid of this minus sign, watch this, I'll save this. See that blank space that just got created? And this is the block, right? Like this is what's in our block. So if I put that minus sign back, then that space gets eaten up. And so it gives us this really nice, clean source. So if you ever have to print the source and read it, which hopefully you never have to do, but if you ever have to do it, it's laid out with the base HTML to look proper. If we brought this back, then that link would actually be in line with all that. I may actually do that in the main. The only thing is there's readability here, which you never read, and then there's readability here. And so I'll probably leave it as is, but if you, for whatever reason, want your source to look perfect when you're viewing the source, then just go into your base.html and move that link back unindented 4 spaces, and you'll be in line with everything else. So you can, the key point here is that base.html, you can't move those things. I mean, you can move those things around, but it will literally move them around here. But here, you can move blocks around, and it just takes what you've defined in that block and injects it into base.html. These minus signs, if I put another minus here, it's going to, in this case, we didn't need it. If I remove this, I have a feeling it's going to add a space. Yeah, it adds a space at the bottom here that we didn't want. So if you're ever wondering, where should I put a minus sign, you can come into exactly where I'm looking here and kind of play around by adding minus signs. I've seen minus signs put here, I've seen them put here. Sometimes we just over put them just to make sure that any blank space that would have appeared is gone. I think I put the minimum amount of minus signs in that you need, but that's what those minus signs are doing. Okay. So in the next video, we're going to go back and we're going to do what I've kind of just keep jumping to it already anyways, but we're going to look more in depth at the base template. All right, see you in the next video.